We're going to talk about some frame generator today, and I guess the best way is just to jump right into it. So before we get started, so when I was preparing for this presentation, I realized that we had another frame generator that actually Mark Dooley, and he's he's taking a poll. He's the one fielding the questions right now. He's on the line as well, and he did one a few months back that covers some of the stuff that I was going to cover. So if you want to reference his video, you can get some of more frame generator information there. And if you kind of combine his and mine, I think you get a good, decent amount of information there. So if you go to our site, hagerman.com/events and on-demand webcasts, in the far right column, you'll see his video there. It's called Inventor 2019.2 Frame Generator Updates. And if you go to our YouTube channel and just search for Hagerman and Company on YouTube, you'll see our all our videos there, as well as Mark's video is in that link, as you see right there. All right, so I just want to preface that. So today's agenda, just going to go through the basics of frame generator first, and I just want to touch upon some other topics that Mark kind of touched upon, but I just want to go into a little more detail on, right? And so we're just going to talk about creating a frame, some file naming, and just folder structures, end treatments, and we're going to talk specifically about change and reuse, end caps, and at the end we'll go through some Q&A. Okay, so all right, so for those of you that don't know how to use frame generator, the basic steps are you create a part file. This will be kind of your skeleton, your frame, which will drive the rest of the assembly. All right, then you create an assembly, and you place that part that was created in that first step into the assembly, and then you can place your frame members around it, do your end treatments, and then you can always update your part file or change frame members, and that will make your assembly dynamic and just change your frame. Your frame will update, your assembly will update as you change your part file, right? The part file will drive your frame. Okay, so with that, let's jump right into the demo here. Let me pull this up. Okay, so I have some projects set up here, and I'm going to go through a couple of examples here. The first example I'm going to show is kind of how most people have been taught, or I think how most people use frame generator, right? Just kind of using default settings and kind of the steps that that I used to use until I started using change and reuse. So I'm going to go through that real quick. All right, so there's my frame. I'm not going to go through exactly how to create a part. I'm going to guess most of you know how to do that already. So basically, your frame part can be created from the part itself, like an extrusion, as well as sketches. So that's why I just have this combination here of a part and a sketch. And we're going to just build a frame around that. So let me start a new assembly here. Bring that over so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, and the first part I'm going to place will be that part I just created, which will be my frame. Oh, and that's my Vault login. If you use Vault, a lot of this naming and folder structure will be a lot easier. So for those of you that aren't using Vault, that might be something you want to consider. And I'm going to show this demo with no Vault. Okay, so this is assuming no one has Vault. If you do have Vault, the workflow would be a little different. All right, so now I'm going to go to the Design tab, and here I'm going to Insert Frame. I forgot to save it. Let me save this. We'll just call it Project Default Frame, because it'd be default settings. That's the only reason I'm using that name. Okay, here's the insert box. You choose the standard that you want. Then you choose the family. Hopefully a lot of you guys have seen Content Center before. You can choose the different sizes, the material, and the appearance. And you can also choose the placement, right? You can choose endpoints, or you can just choose edges. For this example, I'm going to choose edges. And what they've added recently is, in the past, you'd have to select each edge like this. But now you can use windows and crossings, right? So that'll be maybe a little easier. And one thing to note, let me just show you what happens when I do this. All right, so in my frame, I should have, let me choose this edge too. I should have 12 parts, right? And just remember that. We can also change the offsets here. And see the grips? You can grab the grips. The grips will let us rotate. You can see everything rotating. And offset. You can see the numbers change up here dynamically, and we get that preview. For this example, I'm going to put it on center. And let's just leave these at 0. Okay, I'm going to hit apply. Oops, let me bring this over. And again, I'm just going to use these with default settings, which means Inventor puts this frame name inside kind of another assembly that Inventor uses, a sub-assembly of this assembly that I'm in, as well as another skeleton that Inventor uses to do its mumbo-jumbo, to do its magic. It'll create these two files always, and in these default settings. We'll say OK. And you'll notice I have 14 parts. Okay, I did that intentionally because I wanted to show you. I should really only have 12 here. But what happened was, I'm going to cancel this. Let me cancel this again. What happened was, when I started inserting members, on this line here, I have the sketched line, plus I have the edge of the extrusion. So when I hit crossing like that, I grabbed like 4 edges, right? Because these are overlapping. So be careful if you have a sketch on top of an edge. You may get extra parts in your bill of material and in your assembly that you may not want. All right, so let me do that one more time. So I can insert the frame. I'll select these edges, this edge, and we'll go this way here. And again, you can see I can select multiple edges here, so I'm just going to select there. We'll say OK, accept the default settings, and now you can see I only have 12 parts. We'll say OK, and the frame gets inserted. All right, so there's the frame. And again, these are with default settings. And one thing to note as well, let me pull this up on my other monitor here. You'll notice I have the parts in my assembly, but if I go to the default folder where the frame parts are going, there's nothing there. The parts aren't there until you hit save. Okay, once I hit save, you can see all the parts being created. And these are the 2 parts that I mentioned earlier on that dialog, where it creates the frame and it creates a skeleton. All right, and you can see there's my frame that I did earlier, the part model. There's the assembly, the sub-assembly of my assembly, and the parts. Right, this is the frame of reference skeleton. And those are kind of default settings that people use. Why is this coming up here? There we go. And again, these are default settings people use. It will, what Inventor does is, so this is the part that I put in this folder, as you saw. I created this frame and I saved it into this folder. When Inventor creates that frame skeleton model and the subassembly, it puts a subassembly here, but it automatically creates a folder according to the name of your assembly. Right? That's where this comes from. And inside of here is the folder called Frame with the other parts. And what they added, I believe a couple of releases ago, if you go to Tools, Application Options, File, you'll see File Naming Defaults. And these are the defaults for Frame Generator and Tube and Pipe. Obviously, we're not going to talk Tube and Pipe today, but these are the defaults that Frame Generator uses that drives where the naming convention and the folder settings come from, right? So you can see the frame here and a unique number. That's that unique number there. Me personally, I don't like to use these settings. I use it only for default settings because of the classes I teach and such. But if I had the choice, what I would do is maybe leave this the same, but you have other options. Like I kind of like index number. And I'll show you some of the dangers of index number here. And typically what I would do is change this to maybe leave the frame in, but I would add the assembly name, dash frame, and the index number. Right. And same here. I would probably do the same here. Use assembly name. And you can always replace or remove the skeleton. And instead of the index number, maybe instead of the unique number, use index number. And I want the same number of digits, so let's do this. The end cap will be the same. We'll come back around to that a little later. The frame number will be maybe assembly number, and I don't like to use stock number, and I'll show you why in a minute. We'll use the index number, and again, I really don't like the unique number. If you guys like it, you guys can leave it in, and that. And this is the path. We'll leave that alone for now, but if you want to change it to maybe parts, you can do that. Let's just do that just for the purpose of this demo. And we'll say OK. Now, the danger you can see here is that, well, let me go through it. It's probably best just to show you guys how this will work, right? You run into the danger of duplicate file names. So that is the one caveat with this. So let me do this. We'll accept those settings.
Still behind.
Did you say something, Mark?
Sorry.
Comment? I hear someone speaking. I don't know. Is that just me or?
That's me. I'm a little frustrated because the audio is way behind. Sorry.
Oh, is it really? Is it for everybody or just you?
I think
hope it's just you.
My partner over here he's on time. I'm just like 5 to 10 seconds behind. It's a little frustrating.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I changed the file naming settings. I hope everyone else isn't.
Unmuted.
Bon, it seems like you may have been muted now. I'm not able to hear you. Seems like we may be having some issues with our sound. respond. Can you hear me? Okay, looks like people are able to hear me. Let's try to get this sound working again for a few moments. Bear with us, I'm so sorry. And if we continue to have technical issues, we may have to reschedule or send you a recording later.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Wow, I don't know what's wrong with my phone.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Now I'm using my computer audio. I may sound different, but
It sounds fine now.
okay.
Okay.
Right. Sorry about that, everyone. Let me hang up the phone call here. All right, you guys still with me?
Yes,
Okay, good.
I believe so.
All right, sorry about that. I don't know how much you guys didn't hear, how far back I cut out, but
I would go back a couple of minutes.
all right.
If that makes
so
sense.
We were talking about, well, we'll just start from here, inserting the frame. So what I'm doing now is, if you recall, I just changed the settings in the file naming defaults, right? I like to have the assembly name and then the frame number. I really don't like the unique name, the unique identifier, the unique number they use. But again, the main danger here is the file names, that you may get duplicate file names. So I just want to show that. Let's go back in here. We'll design and we'll insert the frame again. Pick our pieces and we'll select those. Whoops, I made a mistake here, you can see. I have to wait. There we go. And we'll say OK. So now, as you can see, it's creating the frame with my assembly name before it, with the project 123, and it's going to put it in a subfolder called projects and parts because I renamed it. And the skeleton also has a project 123 prefix in front of it, as well as all my parts. Now, again, the only danger here is, the main danger is if you do another project called 123, you may be reusing these names. But what Inventor will do is, anytime you create a part now, anytime you insert a member here, okay, it's going to remember to keep using the next index. Even if you close and reopen this, it will go to 17, 18, 19. So again, the main danger is if you're in this project and for some reason you have another project here called project 123, that's where you may run into issues of it Inventor trying to use. Whoops, I didn't save it, so there's no parts in here. Let me save it. The main danger of this is if you have another project called project-123, then you're definitely going to get unique file names. But once you're in this assembly, you're fine. So if you ever do a new project, do a new assembly, it's going to start all over from one. But if you keep going back into this assembly and you keep adding frame members, Inventor will keep indexing to new numbers. So there's no danger there. Okay, you can see it's going to 17, 18, 19. And even if you close and reopen this, there is intelligence built in where Inventor will know, again, just keep indexing that number. Okay? And that's kind of the preference I like, just having the project number. I'm not a big fan of intelligent part numbers, and I'm not a big fan of that unique ID number, that long, 6, 7, 8 digit number that the Inventor uses. So just an option, alternative option for you guys. And a reason I don't like to use file names, I'll show here now. Let me close this, open this up. Let me go back into here again. You'll see what they added right here, right? Overwrite current file for size change. So if I check that, if you uncheck it, let's go here. Let's uncheck it and see the behavior here. So if we uncheck it, and we're going to go back in here and we'll say edit with frame generator. We just change that one part to, let's say, a 3x3, and we say OK. So, but basically what it's saying is it's going to create a new part number. A new file is what Inventor's going to do, called 20. And now, if we go back into, oh, I'm in the wrong project here. You'll see we have the old one as well as, ooh, I forget what the old one is. We have the new part number as well as the old one. Okay, so let me close this out. I'm going to go back to the, let me save that. I'm going to go back to the default project that we were working on earlier. It'll maybe make more sense there. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in here, file naming defaults. I'm going to turn this option on. Okay, and let's go back to here. If you remember, this is 2x2. If you turn that option on, you can probably see where I'm going with this. So this is that part right there. We're going to edit with frame generator. And we'll change the size. Now it's a 3x3. The display name gets updated, but since we're overwriting the file name has not changed. It is no longer a 2x2. This is actually a 3x3. Let's see what I just want to get the file name of this. So the part number is actually right there. So it's 153. It's a 2x2. You can see the file name here in the iProperties, but in actuality, it is a 3x3. So basically what I'm getting at is if you're going to use this option, all right, definitely change the file name, the file naming option here. Do not put the size in the part number. In the file name, rather, I'm sorry. Because if you overwrite it, right, it's going to go to 3x3, it's not going to update the file name. So be very careful and your file naming when you use this. Either just don't use unique, quote-unquote, intelligent part numbering, and just use generic numbering like I'm doing here, which I'm a big fan of, or uncheck it and just create a new file every time. All right. Speaking of new files, let's go on to, let me not save this. Let me close this one more time. You can see all the new files I created. So I'm going to show you a different way to use Frame Generator now, using change and change reuse. So let me start my other token project that I have. So we use that. Let's use A99 this time. We'll start a new assembly. And in this example, I'm going to use change, reuse, and reuse basically with change, reuse. Okay, the beginning steps are the same. Place that grounded at origin. Okay, we'll go to the design tab. We'll insert the frame again. Oops, sorry, I forgot to save it. What project is it? A99? Okay, so I'll call it. Okay, so this time I'm only going to place my unique 3 parts. The reason is, the first method I showed you, Inventor creates 12 different part files. This method, Inventor is only going to create 3 part files because this long member is used 4 times in here, right? And I guess it depends on how your company handles the cuts and the stock numbering, the part numbering in your inventory. In my mind, where I came from, this part we'd like to reuse the same part number, right? So in actuality, this part is the same as this one, and this one, those four, and then these shorter parts are the same as this one, and this vertical part are the same as these four. So all I'm going to do is place those three. I'm going to say okay. We'll leave the part numbering the way it was. Now, instead of placing all those, I only have 3 parts. Let me save this. Where is? What am I looking for? Demo A99. Okay, I'm going to save this. And you see now I've only created 3 new parts. And what I want to do is I want to reuse these, right? Again, because these are basically the same parts used 4 times each in my assembly. So I go to reuse, and again we have some of the same offsets that we saw earlier when we're inserting the frame. So the first is the source member. So I want this to be the source member, but I want to reuse it here, here, and here. And say OK, or apply rather. And this is my second source member. Whoops, let me come back here. 1, 2, 3 times. Hit apply. Go back to my source member again, which is this one now, and reuse it here. Okay, and the benefit of this is you're creating less files, right? So that's the main benefit here. One thing I want to note is a couple of notes, I guess. Let me bring the miter over. I haven't talked miter yet, but we can miter corners. And if, let me show you also. In the past, if you use Frame Generator in previous versions, there used to be a box in most of these dialogues on the end treatments. I don't like it docked. In these end treatments called delete, there used to be an option called delete existing end treatments. But now, if you don't know where it is, it's up here. There is one of these commands that it still has the option in a checkbox here, but in most of them now they're up here. Okay. In the miter section, we can take the default. We can go symmetric. We can offset, right, either direction, or go symmetric, and you can see that whether it's full miter or with bisect. Okay, and you can change the spacing in there. For now, I'll accept the defaults. And I'm going to select the frame members. You can see these are my original source members, and you'll notice I can't miter the changed reused parts, the copied parts. So just keep that in mind. And I believe that is a bug right now, or not a bug, we don't like to call it a bug. It is a known issue. So I believe in the past you could miter copied parts in earlier versions, but this version they're still working on that. I believe hopefully they'll patch that in the next update. Right, so what you want to do is you want to miter the corners here. I'm going to miter those. You can see when I select, it selects all of them. So what's happening here is it mitered here, right? But since this end is a copy, you may have to change the orientation around a little bit. Right, you can see this is off 90 degrees. And on the short end here, this is probably off 90 degrees somewhere as well. Which end is it? Here it is, right? So if we look at it from the top, you can see this is off 90 degrees here also. So this may be a little more work. If you just miter the original members, that might have been quicker. But this way, in my mind, is I believe the correct way, I guess, quote unquote, to copy and reuse your parts in your BOM and in your assembly. So now we can go to the change or change reuse. So change reuse means you can change a reused part. You can't change reuse an original source member. You'll see I can't select these original 3, but I can change reuse
those reuse members. So that's the main difference between change and change reuse. When you go to change, this is where you'd want to change the size of the member, whether it be a reused part or the original source member. Right? I can change either one of these. So that's a little confusing there that they do that. But actually, let me turn off visibility of the original part here. That looks better for now. So let's go to change reuse to demonstrate that. And you can see this end is good, but I need to change this end here. So I'm going to select the member, and now the one thing that I do not like is the preview is still very lacking here. It's not very good. You can see what the original shape is facing my direction. So I know this has to be turned, what, 180 degrees in the Z direction. So you may want to look at your preview or look at how the part looks before you come into the change reuse. Because you'll notice when I go to the change reuse and I select the member, right, the preview goes away. But you can always use the grips, so I need to turn that way. I know I need to turn that -180 and apply, and now I have the right orientation there. Okay, and same with this end. I'm sorry, this end here. You can see this one needs only a 90-degree turn. So we go to change reuse. We select the member. And again, if you don't know if it's plus or minus, you can use the grips, right? This way is still minus. Okay. And now I need to finish the other end. And you'll notice again, I can't miter this corner. Okay, again, this is a known issue, so don't be alarmed if this happens to you. I can't make that second selection to miter. But what you can use is trim and extend face. So the blue is the first selection. That's the member that's going to be trimmed. And I got to come here and make my second selection to select the face. I want it to trim, extend to that face. Okay, and you'll see that end is done. All right, so this still needs to be, it's not completed there. And here we still need to make that trim extend command here. So the first member is the source being cut, and the second selection will be the face. Okay, and there you have it. Okay, let's see now. What else there was about change reuse? What did I talk about? Okay, I guess that's it there. All right, and then of course we can always now. Let me bring trim to frame over. So you'll see trim to frame works on the source part or the copied parts. Yeah, right. So again, the blue is, we'll select that, and we'll select that frame member. Oops, well, I might have to delete the end treatment. All right, so again, the trim extend is probably better here as well. So we're going to trim there, and we'll select this face down here. And I trim that face. It's trimmed there. Yeah, I lost that cut here. Ugh. You select here and this face to get that back. And there's the delete existing end treatments. So you can see in that one, the trim extend has the dialog, the OK box here, and not the option in the the miter, the option in the, I don't know what's this area called up there. Okay, so here it looks like I have to use lengthen shorten. Okay, that's what I want to show you. Let me undo these. Sorry about that. So lengthen shorten is probably better than trim extend. That's what I should have shown you guys. Because when I lengthen shorten this, so I don't know exactly how much I need to shorten it. You can always go minus or plus or change directions. You can flip it. Let's cut it. Let's say minus 4 inches. All right, you can see these two are in the right direction, but these two are not. So again, we'll have to use change reuse for these. Okay, and you can also use the reverse member, and that should fix it as well. Why didn't it change? Why didn't it flip over? Do that. See, it's lagging a little bit. It has to catch up. We'll flip it. Okay, now they're all facing in the right direction. Okay. And what we want to do is maybe change the original. Whoops, I'm sorry. We want to lengthen shorten the original. It's at -4 right now. I don't know, it's less than that, obviously. Let's go -2 or something, just for the purpose of this demonstration. And we're still a little off. It's going to be -3. But I think you guys get the idea of the lengthen shorten. Actually, let's come down here so I can show you the end caps. Let's change this to 4. We'll make it a lot longer so it sticks out on this end, and we can go into the end cap option here, which is sort of new. It came out last year in 2019. So the end cap, first, obviously, you select the faces. Ah, that's right. I forgot I turned this off. So this is an option that you guys, this is an error message you guys might want to see. I turned this off intentionally just in case you guys do get this error. And basically what it's saying is there's a content center library called custom content that I forgot to turn on, right? And again, I did that intentionally. So let me come here, cancel. And to do this, you have to change a project file. And to change a project file, you can't have any files open. So let me save this, close it, and where you want to go is to projects. Let me bring that over. Select the project that you're working on. And mine is Demo Vault right now. And we're going to come in here to the Configure Content Center Libraries. And this is the one that Inventor needs turned on, called Custom Content. Right? And all I need to is just put a check mark next to it. If you don't have these Content Center libraries, if you are using a desktop content like I am, these libraries or custom content is on the Inventor installer. If you're getting your Content Center libraries from the Vault, then they can be downloaded just by Googling Autodesk Content Center download, right? But again, for the desktop content, these libraries are in the Inventor installer. So start the Inventor installer like you're installing Inventor, and you'll see an option for installing the Content Center libraries there. Okay. So we need to turn that option on to start using end caps. We need to save the changes. We can go back to open, and we'll open this right here. Okay. Now we can go back to the design tab and insert end caps. So again, we can select the face, and it's pretty intuitive, pretty simple to use. Most of these commands you'll probably understand. Let's look at it this way. Okay, you can have the placement either internal or external. You can see it's inside now. Let's put this outside. You can change the fillet size. You can change the thickness of the plate. You can change the offset, which basically means it's not offset as far as the position, but as offset relative to the face. So if you put 1, right, it's going to, whoops, let's put -1. It's going to make the size of the offset of the face is what it's doing, right? Okay, you can even rotate it if you want. Change the material. Well, let's just put offset 1 for now, and we'll say OK. And it's going to take our file naming structure that I showed earlier, and there is our end cap. All right, I believe that's pretty much all I had. Let me look at my notes here. Any other? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We talked about the folder structure. We talked a little about the end treatments. And again, if you go back to Mark Dooley's his webcast that he did earlier this year, he goes into a little more detail about some of these other commands. But for today, I just wanted to cover the folder structuring and the change reuse. So, any questions or any other comments, Mark or Ash? Or I believe that's all I had, though.
I've been answering the questions as they've been coming in, so we will turn it over to Q&A now if anyone has any other questions.
Oh, let me see. Let me pop out the questions, see what kind of questions we had. Oh, the sound, okay. Parts remain unique. Oh wow, look at all the people. So 9:20. Looks like I was out for a few, like 4 or 5 minutes, 3-4 minutes there. Sorry about that again.
So Bon, if you will, bring up the file naming defaults again.
Yeah.
So one question coming in here from Hannah is talking about best work practices for vault and file naming. So it kind of depends on your vaulted environment. If you are enforcing unique file names, so you can't have duplicates, then that's something to consider on this side as well. Whether you are going with a unique number or an index identifier, that kind of goes back to how your vault is set up and working now. If we just use the standard defaults, you're going to have frame 001 and skeleton 001 on every frame you create. So that's why these naming defaults have been added, is to eliminate some of those errors. So when you do try to add a file to the vault, you don't get that error message that, hey, one of these files already exists, and you can't check that in. So there are some practices here, and inside the application options on the file tab, and then the file naming defaults, this is where you can come in and kind of customize that naming scheme. Whether you're using a naming scheme in Vault Workgroup or Vault Pro, or if you're using Vault Basic and you've just got disabling the duplicate file names, this is where you can come in and narrow that down to give you more of the laser focus on your file names for putting those into the vault.
Yeah, and instead of using that unique number, my unique number is the assembly name. Hopefully in your company, when you do these frames, I guess it could be either by project or by customer name, right? And that's what will go here. And that would be kind of your unique identifier. Assuming you don't make multiple frames for that customer, in which case you'll have to add another, another identifier in there from job to job or project to project or PO number or what have you. So again, you don't have to use this, obviously. Just my how we kind of handle custom things when I was in industry. One thing I forgot to show you was you can also hit the reset here, right? Go back to the defaults as well.
Yep, you do have the reset option for each of the pull downs there. Another question, what does the process look like for reusing this assembly in another project? If it's just reusing it as is, it's saved as an assembly and you can just place it in. If it's, if it's a table, if it's a layout, if it's a conveyor, whatever it is, if it's going to change. If you're using Vault, you've got the copy design. If you are using if you've got iLogic built in, we've got the iCopy option we can use. We've also got the data assistant that we can use.
Design assistant.
That we can use if you're not using Vault to copy that assembly and create unique components and reuse certain components and things there. So there's a few different options there depending on your environment and what you have installed and how you're working in the background.
Yeah, so just to answer a little bit more about Kyle's question, so if I start a new assembly, and let's say this is maybe a platform, and my frame is one of my members, I can still place that any one of these assemblies that I created. All right, so I could place that. Did I just, what happened to, whoops, let me place that again. Okay, I can still place this frame in here and build around it. Just think of this as a subassembly, all right? That's how I would look at it. If I need to build, again, add screws or any hardware or a platform onto this, I would use this as a subassembly. All right, that way, this is always my quote-unquote frame only, so to speak. I mean, again, there's different methodology you can use. You can use this as your top assembly as well, and just build your platform in here. But again, I'm not sure what your workflow is, so hope that answered the question there.
So he says he's not using Vault. So the reusing would be modified for the new application without affecting the previous. So in that case, we would need a copy if we're going to edit it, or we can just reuse it if it's going to stay in place. In that case, we're just placing it as a subassembly.
Yeah, obviously a lot easier with Vault if you're going to reuse all these members. Then, I mean, there's if it's going to be the same exact size, yeah, you can, I guess, reuse it, use some of the parts. But if you can change lengths, yeah, then you're probably better off just maybe making a new skeleton, a new model here, and just maybe starting over. Or I guess you can always go to Design Assistant or the copy. Where is it in here? Where's that copy thing in here? I don't use it a whole lot. There is a kind of a copy design inside of here now. Can't recall exactly where it is, because again, I don't use it a whole lot. I know it's in here. Oh, you know, let me go back to I think it's in assembly mode. It is called iCopy. There it is, the iCopy author. I'm not all that familiar with it, but it's something you want to look at if you're not using a Vault and you want to quote unquote copy design from an assembly. And it not just holds for frames, but any assembly. You have to be in the Home tab. Mine is here. So, all right. Any other questions? So did that answer your question, Kyle? Yeah, then you're using it's either iLogic copy or maybe the design assistant, which is basically the same, or just doing a save copy as. And yeah, but okay. Any other questions, guys? Hope that answered your question, Kyle.
All right, there was one more from John. Could you show adding the end cap to the top of the frame instead of the miters that you added earlier?
The top of the frame. How do
So in this situation, if you had a vertical member popping up there, John, you could put the end cap on the top and then use the trim extend option to shorten the members to the inside face of that piece of tubing that Bond has there. So just like at the bottom, instead of putting it on top where it's overlapping, put it on the inside so it's flush to the top of the frame there. But yes, it would go the same way. In this case here, it's just on the floor for a bolted connection maybe, or a welded connection. But we could put it at the top and then have the side members coming into the side of the face versus just being mitered on the corners.
The end cap, I'm not even sure I'm understanding the question. The top of the frame. Okay, so I guess you're okay, John. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Sweet.
All right, Miss Ashley, I do not see any more questions coming through.
Okay, well, thanks, guys, and thanks for sticking with us through those technical issues. Sorry about that again. This will conclude our broadcast. If you think of additional questions later, you can simply reply to that confirmation or reminder email you received from GoToWebinar, and we can get those to Bon or your sales rep to get those answered. Once again, if you could take a few moments to fill out the short survey, we would appreciate it. It will just pop up as we close down today. And thanks for attending, and have a great day, everybody.